Okay, so we're finishing up here, guys, with how to write a personal mission statement. We've gone over the thought experiments. We've talked about the anatomy of the mission statement and all the other sections. So now you should have a first draft. But I want to talk briefly about a couple of things that are of utmost importance. And there's only really two more key points to make here. The first one is we'll outline a tactical process for actually getting to your final product of the mission statement. And then we'll talk about just very briefly integrating this mission statement into your life so that it becomes the key guiding constitution that informs your actual decisions and makes its way into the real world, which is the whole point of actually doing this. So first, the tactical process of getting to a final product of your mission statement. And remember that you're writing this as if it will never change, although it probably will. Use one or any of the combinations of thought experiments that we've done, of getting started, ideas, retreat, all of that stuff. First, you get thoughtful, then you brainstorm, then you do a first draft, and that's what we've talked about up to now. After you're done with that first draft, it's time to refine it. Get very critical. Go through it and make sure that it checks the boxes of the anatomy of your mission statement, the 4 key points there. You want to just make sure that you set aside enough time in between the drafts, though, to evaluate it and use it. You'll be using this hopefully every day. A couple of months later, have a session where you do what we talked about in the first draft of getting started and the first draft of writing, and go use another thought experiment and see how much the things that you put down in your first draft do or don't change, how you could solidify them, how you can get more accurate with the words that you're using to describe what your vision for the future is and what your values are. So get critical in these drafting stages as you refine it and make it better. But what's recommended is to put a final end date on when you want to have it fully fleshed out and written by, and it's usually going to be like 1 year from the time you start writing it, so that gives you enough time to really be contemplative about it. And then even yearly, you can go back and revisit it. Again, one draft at a time. Don't make it perfect right away. Revisit it with enough time in between sessions so that you're actually able to use it as a governing document for your life. And then let the values just distill. Make sure that there's enough time in between the drafting stages of this very first part of getting it out so that you can make sure that it's right. When you do revisit it, start first with a thought experiment so that you can get back into a powerful frame of reference. You don't want to do this in a disempowered state at all. Not recommended. And make sure that you feel this heightened sense of purpose. From there, rework these drafts. If you're doing it with a spouse or someone else, make sure that you get feedback from them, but really make sure that it resonates with you. You know that you're really onto something in your mission statement when you read it out of the blue, like one day you forgot to recite it to yourself in the morning or something, or it's been a couple weeks. Just the act of reading it inspires you and gets you into that state. Now, the last thing here as we close, integrate your mission statement into your life so that it becomes your life mission. If it stops at being just a statement, which if you do this right, it won't, because the process, again, is just as important as the final product. If it stops at just a document or a statement and doesn't actually make its way into your life, then you shouldn't do this, because the discrepancy between what you could be and who you actually will end up being will be so great that it'll be like living in hell just imagining what the gap between those two things is. I'm not saying don't do this. I'm saying if you do it right, there will not be a gap there that you'll even care about, because the process of doing this will motivate you to have it as an integrated document into your life so that your mission statement becomes your mission. Find a way to regularly connect to this mission statement. So we want to integrate this statement into our lives so that it becomes more than just a statement. So here are some tips or suggestions to do that. Find a way to regularly connect to your mission statement that becomes a formal process for you. Daily might be a little much, although it could be very useful daily to where you recite it to yourself morning and evening, like a statement of definite purpose. But you want to find a way to make it so that you can reconnect to this mission statement in a reminder type system for yourself. Let it be the governing thing that guides your life and makes its way into reality by becoming more than just a statement. And the first step of that is really reminding yourself of it day to day. In addition to just reminding yourself of what the mission statement is so that you can make sure to integrate it into your life, you also need to check yourself and the way you're living against the mission statement. So this could take the form of correcting glitches or reprogramming glitches or doing a self-correction analysis daily or weekly. Then you can start to understand how the mission statement becomes that guiding document to inform your decisions. All right, guys, that's all we've got. Make sure that you do this, guys. This will be the gift that you give yourself. Every great accomplishment you have in your life in terms of results that will be perceived as professional level, greatest of all time, freaking LeBron James, Michael Jordan, all of them will stem from having this clear in your mind. You might think that they're disconnected somehow. They're like, oh, my personal mission statement, what does that have to do with me being better at sales this year? It has everything to do with it. The best version of you, including the results that you get in the sales game, you will unlock that version of you to go get results in a way that you can't even imagine. So if you want the good stuff in terms of the external results, do this exercise and write a personal mission statement in the way that we've outlined here. If you don't want it, then don't do it. But I promise you're going to regret that if you don't. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you back in the leadership training.